How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, November 13th, 2021. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to review the Elite matchups and performances from yesterday, Friday, November 12th, 2021. Just to take a quick snapshot of where we are, starting off with college sports. There is about a month left in college football as, of course, the games are getting tighter. And, of course, each game does mean more. In college basketball, however, the season is just getting started. But, of course, the games are still very important and they definitely matter. But, of course, as of right now, the teams are still starting to get their legs under them. Looking at what's going on in the professional leagues, in the NFL, we are about to get into our 10th Sunday of NFL football tomorrow, and then the NBA has just been underway for almost a month now. Taking a look overseas, basically what's going on over there is World Cup qualifiers for next year's upcoming summer tournament. Starting off with college football, taking a look at what's going on with the fifth-ranked team in the nation. The Cincinnati Bearcats went on to face off against the South Florida Bulls, and Cincinnati would end up beating USF 45-28 after they outscored USF 24-7 in the first half, and then both teams would be pretty even at 21 in the second half. The fifth-ranked Bearcats were led by their starting quarterback, Desmond Ridder. He threw for 304 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. He also ran for 65 yards and an additional touchdown. That's 369 total yards of offense and 3 touchdowns. Their leading rusher was Ryan Montgomery. He had 6 carries for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also had 2 receptions for 10 yards. That's 82 yards of offense for him. Their leading receiver, Josh Wiley, had 5 receptions for 61 yards as he had a touchdown. Their third leading receiver, Trey Tucker, had 6 receptions for 51 yards as he had the team's other receiving touchdown. The Bearcats were led on defense by Ty Van Fossen, Darian Beavers, and Brian Cook as they each had 7 tackles. Ty Van Fossen would also have a sack to go along with his 7 tackles. Deshaun Pace and Ahmad Gardner would finish with the team's only interceptions. With this win, the 5th-ranked Cincinnati Bearcats are 10-0. They are now officially 6-0 in the American Conference. With this loss, unranked USF is 2-8. They are now 1-5 in the American Conference as we have a good amount of college football ahead of us today. Taking a look at what's going on in college basketball, starting off with the 2nd-ranked team in the nation, the UCLA Bruins would face off against the 4th-ranked Villanova Wildcats. UCLA would end up beating Villanova 86-77 in overtime after outscoring Villanova 19-10 in overtime. The 4th-ranked Villanova Wildcats were led by their starting forward, Jermaine Samuels. Jermaine Samuels would finish with 20 points on the day, as well as 5 rebounds in 41 minutes. He shot 7 for 16 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. The UCLA Bruins were led by their guard, Johnny Juzang. He finished with 25 points and 8 rebounds in 42 minutes. He shot 9 for 24 from the field and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. And then their starting guard, their junior Jaime Jaquez, would finish with 21 points and 13 rebounds alongside 5 turnovers in 37 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the foul line. With this win, the UCLA Bruins are now 2-0 to start their season off, and with this loss, the 4th-ranked Villanova Wildcats are 1-1. Taking a look at the 3rd-ranked team in the nation, the Kansas Jayhawks faced off against the unranked Tarleton Texans. The Jayhawks would end up beating Tarleton 88-62 after they outscored Tarleton by 8 in the first half and by 18 in the second. The Jayhawks were led in scoring by their starting guard, Ochai Agbaji. Agbaji would finish with 25 points and 6 rebounds in 35 minutes. He shot 11 for 16 from the field on the day. With this win, the 3rd-ranked Kansas Jayhawks are 2-0, and with this loss, unranked Tarleton is 0-2. Taking a look at what's going on with the 7th-ranked team in the nation, the Purdue Boilermakers hosted the unranked Indiana State Sycamores, where Larry Bird went to school. Purdue ended up beating Indiana State 92-67, winning by 25 after they outscored Indiana State by 21 in the first half and by 4 in the second. The Boilermakers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Jaden Ivey. Jaden Ivey would finish with 27 points on the day, as he would do so alongside 8 rebounds and 2 steals in 28 minutes. Ivey shot 10 for 13 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 5 for 7 from the foul line. Purdue starting center Zach Edey would finish with 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 18 minutes. Edey shot 8 for 9 from the field and 6 for 10 from the foul line. With this win, the 7th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers are 2-0. With this loss, the unranked Indiana State Sycamores are 1-1. Taking a look at the 8th-ranked team in the nation, the Baylor Bears, the reigning college champions, hosted the unranked Incarnate Word Cardinals, and the Bears were able to pick up an 87-60 win to pick up their first win of the season. They outscored Incarnate Word by 12 points in the first half and by 15 in the second. The Baylor Bears were led in scoring by their starting guard, their senior Matthew Mayer. Matthew Mayer would finish with 14 points in 21 minutes as he shot 6 for 10 from the field and 2 for 5 from 3. With this win, the Baylor Bears are now 1-0, and with this loss, the unranked Incarnate Word Cardinals are 0-1. Taking a look at the 9th-ranked team in the nation, the Duke Blue Devils hosted the unranked Army Black Knights, and Duke was able to beat Army 82-56. Duke outscored Army by 13 in the first half and by 13 in the second half. The 9th-ranked Blue Devils were led in scoring by their starting forward, Wendell Moore Jr. He finished with 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists alongside 2 steals, as that is the 3rd triple-double in Duke Blue Devil history. With this win, the 9th-ranked Duke Blue Devils are 2-0, and with this loss, the unranked Army Black Knights are 1-1. Taking a look at the 10th-ranked team in the nation, the Kentucky Wildcats hosted the unranked Robert Morris Colonials, and Kentucky would beat Robert Morris 100-60. They won the game by 40 after outscoring Robert Morris by 16 in the first half and by 24 in the second. The Kentucky Wildcats were led in scoring by their starting guard, Kellen Grady. Kellen Grady would finish with 19 points and 3 steals as the senior shot 7 for 11 from the field in 24 minutes. He shot 4 for 6 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt of the night. With this win, the 10th-ranked Kentucky Wildcats are 1-0, or they are 1-1, and with this loss, Robert Morris is 0-2. Taking a look at the 11th-ranked team in the nation, the Illinois Fighting Illini hosted the unranked Arkansas State Red Wolves, and Illinois would pull off a 92-53 win after outscoring Arkansas State by 12 in the first half and by 17 in the second. Illinois was led in scoring by their starting forward, their sophomore Coleman Hawkins. Coleman Hawkins would go on to finish with 17 points, 12 rebounds, and 4 blocks in 27 minutes. He would go on to shoot 5 for 7 from the field for the day. With this win, the Illinois Fighting Illini, ranked at 11, are now 2-0. With this loss, the unranked Arkansas State Red Wolves are now 1-1. Taking a look at the 13th-ranked basketball team in the nation, the Oregon Ducks hosted the unranked SMU Mustangs, and Oregon will pull off an 86-63 win, outscoring SMU by 15 in the first half and by 8 in the second. The Oregon Ducks were led in scoring by their starting forward out of Port Huron, Michigan, their senior Eric Williams Jr. Williams would finish with 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field. With this win, the 13th-ranked Oregon Ducks are 2-0, and with this loss, unranked SMU is 1-1 on the season. Looking at the 14th-ranked team in the nation, the Alabama Crimson Tide hosted the unranked South Dakota State Jackrabbits. Alabama would pull off a 104-88 win after outscoring South Dakota State by 3 in the first half and by 13 in the second. The Crimson Tide were led in scoring by their starting guard, their junior out of Hackensack, New Jersey, Javon Quinterly. Javon Quinterly finished with 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 11 for 24 from the field. Their other starting guard, Jaden Shackelford, finished with 23 points and 5 rebounds in 32 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the 14th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide are now 2-0, and with this loss, unranked South Dakota State is now 1-1. Looking at the 5th-ranked team in the nation, the Houston Cougars hosted the unranked Rice Owls. Houston would beat Rice 79-46 after they outscored Rice by 29 in the first half, almost scoring as many points as Rice scored in the full game in the first half, by the way. And Houston outscored Rice by 2 in the second half. Houston was led in scoring by their starting guard, Marcus Sasser, their junior out of Dallas, Texas. Marcus Sasser would go on to finish with 26 points and 5 assists in 28 minutes. Sasser shot 8 for 16 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and he shot a perfect 5 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the 15th-ranked Houston Cougars are now 2-0, and with this loss, unranked Rice is 1-1. Looking at the 17th-ranked team in the nation, the Ohio State Buckeyes hosted the unranked Niagara Purple Eagles. Ohio State would end up beating Niagara 84-74, outscoring Niagara by 1 in the first half and by 9 in the second. The Ohio State Buckeyes were led in scoring by their starting forward, E.J. Liddell. He finished with 29 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 blocks, alongside 5 turnovers in 28 minutes. He shot 9 for 15 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 8 for 12 from the foul line. With this win, the 17th-ranked Ohio State Buckeyes are 2-0. With this loss, the unranked Niagara Purple Eagles are 0-2. Taking a look at what's going on with the 19th-ranked team in the nation, the North Carolina Tar Heels hosted the unranked Brown Bears. UNC would beat Brown 94-87 after they were outscored by 3 in the first half. UNC would have to outscore Brown by 10 in the second half to overcome their deficit. The 19th-ranked Tar Heels were led in scoring by their starting guard, their sophomore out of White Plains, New York, R.J. Davis. R.J. Davis would finish with 26 points and 6 assists. He did all this in 36 minutes as he shot 9 for 17 from the field, 6 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting forward, Armando Bacot, would finish with 22 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 steals in 27 minutes. He shot 10 for 11 from the field, and with this win, the 19th-ranked North Carolina Tar Heels are 2-0. With this loss, the unranked Brown Bears are 1-1 at this point in the season. Taking a look at what's going on with the 22nd ranked team in the nation, the Auburn Tigers hosted the UL Monroe Warhawks. The Tigers would end up beating the Warhawks 93-65 as the Tigers outscored UL Monroe by 30 in the second half after Monroe outscored Auburn by 2 in the first half. The 22nd ranked Tigers were led in scoring by their starting forward, Jabari Smith out of Fayetteville, Georgia. Their freshman would go on to finish with 23 points, 10 rebounds, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. He did all this in 29 minutes as he shot 7 for 12 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and he shot 6 for 8 from the foul line. With this win, the 22nd ranked Auburn Tigers are 2-0. With this loss, the unranked UL Monroe Warhawks are 0-2 at this point in the season. Taking a look, last but not least, at what's going on with the 25th ranked team in the nation, the Virginia Cavaliers hosted the unranked Radford Highlanders. The Cavs would end up beating the Highlanders 73-52 after they outscored Radford by 20 in the first half and by 1 in the second. The Cavaliers were led in scoring by their starting guard, Armaan Franklin, their junior out of Indianapolis. Armaan Franklin would go on to finish with 21 points in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 12 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, and he shot 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the 25th ranked Virginia Cavaliers are now 1-1, and with this loss, Radford is 1-1 as well, as they are now officially unranked. So that is what's going on with college basketball right now as we take a look at what's going on in the NBA. Starting off in Charlotte, the Charlotte Hornets hosted the New York Knicks, and the Knicks were able to beat the Hornets 104-96 in this matchup. The Hornets would outscore the Knicks by 17 in the second half in order to overcome their 9-point deficit. The New York Knicks were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard out of UConn, Kemba Walker. He finished with 26 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals in 31 minutes. He shot 9 for 19 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. The Charlotte Hornets were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Miles Bridges. He finished with 24 points and 2 blocks in 37 minutes. He shot 8 for 17 from the field, and their starting small forward, Gordon Hayward, would finish with 22 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 38 minutes. He shot 9 for 17 from the field, 4 for 5 from the foul line as well. And then their elite starting point guard, LaMelo Ball, would finish with 12 points, 17 rebounds, 9 assists, and 5 steals in 37 minutes. Ball shot 4 for 13 from the field and 4 for 5 from the foul line. With this win, the Charlotte Hornets are 7-7, and with this loss, the New York Knicks are now 7-6. Taking a look at what's going on what went down in Boston, the Celtics hosted the Milwaukee Bucks. The Celtics would end up beating the defending NBA champs 122-113 after outscoring the Bucks by 9 in overtime. The Milwaukee Bucks were led in scoring by their starting center, Bobby Portis Jr. out of Arkansas. He finished with 22 points and 6 rebounds in 41 minutes. He shot 10 for 15 from the field and 1 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting shooting guard out of Duke, Grayson Allen, would finish with 21 points in 35 minutes as he shot 6 for 16 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. The Boston Celtics were led in scoring by their starting point guard, Dennis Schroeder. He finished with 38 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 turnovers in 41 minutes. He shot 16 for 27 from the field, 3 for 9 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their elite starting small forward, Jason Tatum, finished with 27 points, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 47 minutes. Tatum shot 10 for 25 from the field, 5 for 13 from 3, and 2 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Boston Celtics are now 6-6, and with this loss, the Milwaukee Bucks are now 6-7 at this point in the season. Looking in Cleveland, the Cleveland Cavaliers hosted the Pistons last night, and the Cavs were able to beat the Pistons 98-78, as the Cavs were able to outscore the Pistons by 11 for the first half and then 11 in the third quarter, outscoring them by 22 over the first 3 quarters. The Detroit Pistons were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Jeremy Grant. He finished with 16 points and 2 steals in 25 minutes. He shot 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and a perfect 4 for 4 from the foul line. The Cleveland Cavaliers were led in scoring by their starting point guard out of Vanderbilt, Darius Garland. He finished with 21 points, 7 assists, and 2 steals in 35 minutes. He shot 8 for 14 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and he made his only free throw attempt of the day. With this win, the Cleveland Cavaliers are now 8-5, and with this loss, the Detroit Pistons are now 2-9. Taking a look at what's going on in Houston, the Houston Rockets hosted the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Blazers would end up on top, beating the Rockets 104-92, winning it by 12 after they outscored the Rockets by 10 in the first half. The Houston Rockets were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard out of USC, Kevin Porter Jr. He finished with 18 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 5 fouls in 29 minutes. He shot 7 for 14 from the field on the night. The Portland Trail Blazers were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, Damian Lillard. He finished with 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 6 for 16 from the field, 4 for 9 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. The Portland Trail Blazers are now 6-7. With this loss, the Houston Rockets are now 1-11 at this point in the year. Taking a look at what's going on in Memphis, the Memphis Grizzlies hosted the Phoenix Suns. The Suns, surging hot, ended up beating the Memphis Grizzlies 119-94 to pick up their seventh straight win. The Suns outscored the Grizzlies by 19 in the first half. And then the Memphis Grizzlies in this matchup were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard out of Murray State. Ja Morant would finish with 26 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 steals, and 5 turnovers in 32 minutes. Morant shot 10 for 19 from the field and 6 for 9 from the foul line. The Phoenix Suns were led in scoring by their elite starting their elite starting shooting guard out of Kentucky, and then their starting power forward out of Marquette. Devin Booker finished with 17 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists in 26 minutes. He shot 7 for 17 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 2 for 2 from the foul line. Their starting power forward, Jamison Crowder, finished with 17 points and 5 rebounds, as well as 2 blocks in 25 minutes. He shot 6 for 10 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3 as well. Their elite starting point guard, future Hall of Famer Chris Paul, finished with 15 points, 4 rebounds, 12 assists, and 5 steals in 28 minutes. Paul shot 6 for 12 from the field and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the Phoenix Suns are 8-3. And with this loss, the Memphis Grizzlies are now 6-6. Taking a look at what went down in Denver, the Denver Nuggets and the 2021 MVP Nikola Jokic hosted the Atlanta Hawks. The Nuggets would end up beating the Hawks 105-96 after they outscored Atlanta by 7 points in the first and the third quarters each. The Atlanta Hawks were led in scoring by their elite starting point guard, Trae Young, out of Oklahoma. He finished with 30 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, and 5 turnovers in 32 minutes. He shot 9 for 16 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and 9 for 10 from the foul line. Their starting power forward out of Wake Forest, John Collins, finished with 26 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks in 39 minutes. Collins shot 11 for 22 from the field, and for the Denver Nuggets, they were led in scoring by their starting power forward out of Arizona. Aaron Gordon finished with 23 points, 2 steals, and 3 blocks in 34 minutes. He shot 7 for 11 from the field, 3 for 5 from 3, and a perfect 6 for 6 from the foul line. Their elite starting center, the reigning MVP Nikola Jokic, finished with 22 points, 19 rebounds, 10 assists, and 5 fouls in 35 minutes, as he shot 10 for 22 from the field, 1 for 8 from 3, and 1 for 4 from the foul line. With this win, the Denver Nuggets are now 8-4, and with this loss, the Atlanta Hawks are now 4-9 at this point in the season. Taking a look right now at what is currently going on in New Orleans, the Pelicans hosted the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets would end up beating the Pelicans 120-112 after they outscored the Pelicans by 8 in the first quarter, carried that momentum through the end of the game. The Pelicans were led in scoring by their starting center, Jonas Valanciunas. He finished with 20 points and 12 rebounds in 30 minutes as he shot 6 for 14 from the field and a perfect 8 for 8 from the foul line. The Brooklyn Nets were led by their elite starting shooting guard, James Harden. He finished with 39 points, 5 rebounds, 12 assists, and 6 turnovers in 38 minutes. He shot 11 for 18 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3, and 11 for 15 from the foul line. Their goated starting power forward, Kevin Durant, finished with 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists in 38 minutes. He shot 11 for 17 from the field, a perfect 3 for 3 from 3, and 3 from 4 from the foul line. Their starting small forward, Joe Harris, finished with 24 points and 2 steals in 37 minutes. He shot 9 for 12 from the field and 6 for 8 from 3. And the Nets' elite starting power forward, Blake Griffin, would finish with 8 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 blocks in 26 minutes as he shot 3 for 12 from the field and 2 for 3 from the foul line. With this win, the Brooklyn Nets are now 9-4. With this loss, the New Orleans Pelicans are now 1-12. Taking a quick look at what's going on in Oklahoma City, the Thunder hosted the Sacramento Kings. The Thunder would pull out a 105-103 win after outscoring the Sacramento Kings by 16 points in the second half in order to come up with this 2-point win. The Kings were led in scoring by their starting small forward, Harrison Barnes, out of UNC. He finished with 21 points and 5 rebounds in 34 minutes as he shot 8 for 14 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and 4 for 5 from the foul line. The Oklahoma City Thunder were led in scoring by their small forward out of Arizona State and their their point guard out of Kentucky. Luguentz Dort finished with 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals in 33 minutes. He shot 9 for 18 from the field and 2 for 3 from the foul line. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finished with 22 points and 2 steals in 35 minutes as he finished shooting 9 for 24 from the field, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander made both of his free throw attempts for the night. With this win, the Oklahoma City Thunder are 5-6. With this loss, the Sacramento Kings are now 5-8. Looking at or going south one state, taking a look within Texas, the San Antonio Spurs hosted the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks would end up beating the Spurs 123-109 as the Mavs outscored the Spurs by 14 in the third quarter. That would be the difference in this game. The Spurs, their leading scorer would end up being Devin Vassell off the bench as he finished with 20 points in 2 blocks in 30 minutes as he shot 6 for 11 from the field, 3 for 6 from 3, and 5 for 6 from the foul line. The Dallas Mavericks were led in scoring by their elite starting Slovenian point guard and their Latvian starting center. Luka Doncic finished with 32 points, 12 rebounds, 15 assists, and 2 steals in 36 minutes. Doncic shot 11 for 23 from the field, 6 for 13 from 3, and 4 for 8 from the foul line. Kristaps Porzingis finished with 32 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 blocks in 34 minutes. He shot 12 for 22 from the field, and he shot 5 for 6 from the foul line. With this win, the Dallas Mavericks are now 8-4. With this loss, the San Antonio Spurs are now 4-8. Taking a look at what's going on in Oakland, the Golden State Warriors, still surging hot, were able to beat the Chicago Bulls 119-93 last night, winning the game by 26 after they outscored Chicago by 6 in the first half. They outscored Chicago by 18 in the third as well. The Chicago Bulls were led in scoring by their starting shooting guard, Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine would end up scoring 23 points and adding 6 rebounds and 7 turnovers in 34 minutes. LaVine shot 10 for 17 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line for the night. The Golden State Warriors were led in scoring by their goated starting point guard, Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry finished with 40 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, and 6 turnovers in 34 minutes. Curry would end up shooting 15 for 24 from the field, 9 for 17 from 3, and he would end up making his only free throw attempt of the night. With this win, the Golden State Warriors are now 11-1. With this loss, the Chicago Bulls are now 8-4. Last but not least, taking a look at what's going on in the Staples Center, the Los Angeles Lakers hosted the Minnesota Timberwolves for Russell Westbrook's birthday, and the Timberwolves would end up mollywhopping the Lakers, beating them 107-83. The big difference came in the third quarter where the Timberwolves outscored the Lakers 40-12, outscored them by 28 points. The Los Angeles Lakers were led in scoring by their elite starting power forward out of Kentucky, Anthony Davis. He finished with 22 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 steals, and 3 blocks in 31 minutes. He shot 7 for 13 from the field and 8 for 10 from the foul line. Their elite starting point guard, Russell Westbrook, finished with 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, and 5 turnovers. He did all this in 31 minutes as he shot 7 for 11 from the field, 2 for 4 from 3, and 4 for 6 from the foul line. The Minnesota Timberwolves were led in scoring by their elite starting center, Karl Anthony Towns. He finished with 29 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals in 30 minutes. He shot 11 for 17 from the field, 4 for 8 from 3, and a perfect 3 for 3 from the foul line. Their elite starting point guard, D'Angelo Russell, would finish with 22 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists in 34 minutes. He shot 8 for 19 from the field, 5 for 9 from 3, and 1 for 2 from the foul line. With this win, the Minnesota Timberwolves are now they're now 4-7, and with this loss, the Los Angeles Lakers are now 7-6. Taking a look at what's going on outside of the North American continent, but first, before we leave, looking at the World Cup qualifying matches on the continent, Canada was able to beat Costa Rica 1-0 off of its 57th minute goal from Jonathan David. United States was able to beat Mexico 2-0 off of its 2 second-half goals from Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie. In Europe, Poland was able to beat Andorra as 2 of their goals came from their goated Polish forward Robert Lewandowski. England was able to beat Albania 5-0 as 3 of its goals came from their elite English striker Harry Kane. Italy was able to draw with Switzerland 1-1 as both goals in this matchup came in the first half. Looking out in South America, Argentina was able to beat Uruguay 1-0 as its only goal came in the 7th minute from their elite center attacking mid, Angel Di Maria. And looking at Africa, Gabon was able to beat Libya 1-0 as their only goal was a 54th minute penalty kick from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And virtually that's everything that's going on with sports as of today. I want to thank the ESPN, NCAA, NBA websites as well for giving me the facts and figures that I needed in order to do this episode. And of course, I want to thank everyone for listening to all 30 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. Once all of today's exhibitions and matchups are done, I will come back tomorrow on Sunday, November 14th for another episode of The Elite. Until then, thanks for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out.